Hello everyone, welcome to Veranda IAS. Welcome back to the new chapter of Indian Polity Foundation course series. Today we will be dealing about the sources of Indian polity. In our last lecture, we understood about the origin of Indian polity and also we discussed about the relevance of the subject. Now we know that this subject is very relevant for for clearing the Indian Administrative Services IAS examinations. So how to approach this subject? We all are here to clear the exam and not to just gather information. So to clear any exam, first of all, what is important is to understand the nature of the exam, the syllabus, all the subjects asked in the exam, and then our next step should be to know the sources, the strategy to tackle that subjects that are having good weightage in the exam. So we will be dealing about the sources of Indian polity. How can we approach this subject so that our preparations become easier? First and foremost, let me tell you, the questions in Indian polity at all the three stages are equally asked from two things. One is a static portion and second is current affairs. At all the three stages, you will get questions from static portion in equal number as you get it from current affairs. There is nothing for some subjects we have, like we have to focus on static part, we have to focus on current affairs. Like if we are dealing with history, our more focus will be on static part. If we are dealing with economics, our more focus will be on current affairs. But for polity, static and current affairs both are important. What is important for us is to make a balance between two, to bring a balance between two. And this is what is the game of UPSC, that how you are managing between the static portion and the current affairs. So basically what we have to do, we have to know what all are the sources and what is the key to crack them. Key to crack them. If any student who is completely fresher in the preparations, you are a college pass out or you are giving first attempt and you have a no background of polity, history and art subjects, humanities subjects, then it is suggested to you all to start with class 9th NCERT. NCERT of class 9th is the basic book from which you all have to start. We will deal with this book, the contents of this book as well. The book is named as Democratic Politics Part 1 and class 10th NCERT is known as Democratic Politics Part 2. So these two basic books are the first step towards the preparation of Indian polity. What you have to do, these books are thin, have 70 to 80 pages. So basically, you have to complete these books. If you are reading these for first time, you can take 2 days, 3 days. But if you are giving a second reading or you have some or other knowledge of this subject, you have some knowledge that what is Bare Act, what is Constitution of India, what is federalism, what is power sharing system in India, then you have to finish it in 1 day. This book in 1 day, then this in 1 day. In 2 days, your base for Indian polity will be prepared. The base of the building is set. Now we can make it as tall as we want. The next step will be to follow the standard books. We will see what all books we have to follow. So this is the book, Democratic Politics. It is a very thin book, class 9th NCERT. 70 to 80 pages are there. It has information, as the name suggests, democratic politics, the politics of a democracy. So it will tell you about power sharing, federalism. First of all, what is democracy and how India is a democracy. Then it will tell you about the power sharing in India. It will deal about federalism. Then different organs of the government. Then role of these organs. And so on. The list is long. Basically, why the list is long? This all is very relevant, not even for a UPSC aspirant, but for any individual to understand. We are reading a newspaper daily in the morning. Your parents, grandparents, or anyone in your family might be reading. They often talk about politics. This is happening in this state, in Tamil Nadu, in Bengal, in UP. Bengal elections were in limelight. So do you actually understand why they are talking all this? whatever they are talking, do you actually have idea? I guess we have, and if we do not have, these books will make us understand. And if we have, these books will help us establish that idea, establish that thought, and guide our thoughts in the direction of UPSC preparations. So basically, we have a federal system. That is why we have state level elections and elections at the central level. So how all this we know? By the in the way of subject, I am saying this is what is known as the federal system, the federalism in India. So first you complete this book. Need not to make notes out of this book. This book is very, very basic. What you have to do, you have to just read these 70 pages once, and if you are not clear, twice. This will make your base for next book, which is class 10th NCERT Democratic Politics Part 2. This is the book. It is also very thin, some 80-90 pages books. It will tell you about the three organs, executive, legislature, judiciary in detail, and will go one step further in your preparations. Same strategy you have to follow for this book as well. You have to just read it once, or if not clear, twice. 2 simple readings are fair enough. You need not to make notes out of these books. You have to just understand the concepts, keep it in your mind, and then use it in further readings. No need to like mug up and underline and then make notes. No need at all. Next step is class 11th NCERT. This is important. Indian Constitution at Work. This is the book. It is also like not very thick, very thin book. It has 10 chapters. You have to read all the chapters in detail. You have to underline these chapters. 2 readings are must, not only 1. 2 readings are must for this book. When you will be able to tackle this book, understand the concepts of this book, then only we'll be starting with the standard books of UPSC IAS preparations. After finishing these 3 NCERTs, 9th, 10th and 11th, now we are actually entering in the preparation of syllabus. Now what will be our next step is to complete M. Lakshmikant, Indian Polity by M. Lakshmikant. Very, very, very relevant book for UPSC IAS exams. Its latest edition, I guess 6th edition is in the market. Either soft copy, hard copy you can purchase, and then you have to just read this book in one go for the first reading. You will understand only 10 to 20% of syllabus in first reading. This is a thick book. What is our approach to tackle this, Lakshmikant? First and foremost, at least 4 readings before going to preliminary examinations. Minimum, I am saying, minimum 4 readings of this books. Secondly, students come to me and ask, ma'am, do we need to make notes out of this book? Please remember, there is no need of making notes. When you start making notes, what you do, you start from first chapter, come till last chapter, and for 800 pages book, you give me 200 pages of notes. They are not at all notes actually. It is another book, like you have written a summary of the book. So it is not needed, and those 200 pages notes you never ever read again. And what happens? You go to examinations thinking that you have completed Lakshmikant, but it is not so. So basically, what is the processor? What should be the processor of note making or reading this book? This book has 11 parts. It is divided in 11 parts. Part 1 starts with the historical background. And part 11th is, part 1 is historical background. Part 11th is working of constitution. In between these 11 parts, the whole gist of Indian Constitution, Bare Act and your UPSC preparation lies. Historical background basically deals with all the acts of British India, starting from Regulating Act of 1773, British India Acts starting from Regulating Act of 1773, covering the Act of 1833, 1853, then very relevant Morley-Minto reforms 1909, 1919, then 1935, and then the Indian Independence Act of 1947. These all acts will be covered in the background, historical background of Indian Constitution. Indian Constitution basically has origin in these of the acts, mainly in 1935, But to understand the Act of 1935, it is very relevant for us to understand all the remaining acts. Once you go through all these, then we will come to the story of after 1947. From 1947 to 1950, our Constituent Assembly was working. On what? On drafting a wonderful document, the live document, that is Indian Constitution, which we got in 1915, 26th of Jan. So basically this is the journey how Indian Constitution came into being. The first part of Lakshmikant deals with it. Starting from there, we will then understand in part 2 what is the structure of the, what will be the structure of the government. Part 2 deals with the structure of the government. It means what all structure is there in India. Structure, by structure what I mean, whether we have parliamentary form of government or we have presidential form of government. If parliamentary form of government, what all features we have. If presidential, what all features we have. It is resembling with which government? Because Indian Constitution is what? Indian Constitution is amalgamation of number of constitutions of world. Very large number constitutions of world from Ireland, from USSR, UK, USA, and the list is very long. Our constitution makers read all these constitutions and then drafted our Indian Constitution, taking some of the provisions from these which suit our polity, which suit our geographical condition, our population structure, and they also molded some as per the requirements of India. So part 2 deals with the structure of government. Then comes very relevant part 3, that is central government. And then part 4 is the state government. Why I am stressing on this is there is a trick which I want to tell you, which I want you all to remember. To tackle Lakshmikant, don't get worried that it is a very heavy book, how we will be completing this. There is a format to read it. If you are reading for the first time, you want to make your basis, you have no background, you can go like part-wise, read from starting till ending and can have a basic understanding. That will be your first reading. From second reading onwards, you can take any part of this book and can read. But part 3 and part 4 are interrelated. You can complete this syllabus in minutes. How? Part 3 includes President, Vice President, Prime Minister, Council of Ministers, and so on. All the structure of central government which is sitting in Delhi, and judiciary, Supreme Court, everything which is important for us to understand. Similarly, for state government, we have governor, then chief minister, council of ministers, and there we have Supreme Court, here we have high courts and subordinate courts. So this is like in parallel you should study. If you are studying president, immediately you have to finish governor. If you want, what you can do, you can take a sheet and can make a comparison between two. In short, like in one sheet you have to finish president and governor. President and governor are in comparative manner you have to study, because even in mains questions are being asked in this way. Like compare the powers of President of India with the Governor of States. What do you think the Governor of State is a agent of central government or not? So all these type of questions are there in mains. So to tackle those, what you have to do, you have to understand the constitutional provisions for two in a comparative manner. If you are studying President, immediately finish Governor. Studying Prime Minister, immediately finish Chief Minister. Studying Council of Ministers at Center, immediately finish Council of Ministers at State. This way, your preparation will go easy. You will be able to complete this book in very limited time, like in a good time, decent time. And also, you will be able to memorize the facts, the articles. If you are comparing between two things, you will be able to remember those for longer time. Then part 5 is local self-government, Panchayati Raj institutions, municipalities, 73rd, 74th Amendment. It is also very, very relevant in a very, very relevant part of syllabus. Why so? Because local self-government is like the talk of the day. Every day in newspapers, we read some or other thing related to panchayats, municipalities, or if not this, We'll be reading what? Democratic decentralization. We'll be reading terms like these. Democratic decentralization, then cooperative federalism, so the roots of all these terms are in these chapters: central government, state government, and the local self-government. Then there are other chapters as well which you have to remember. Constitutional bodies is a part, non-constitutional bodies is a part. These all chapters have a bit factual information. How to tackle constitutional and non-constitutional bodies? For this, again, you have to take a sheet, make some columns, the name of the body, then the members of the body, how many members, who all are the members, then whether it is like type of the body, constitutional, non-constitutional, or any other. And then the important things about this, that body which you have to remember. This should be your approach to deal with the chapters of constitutional bodies and non-constitutional bodies. There are two parts. One deals with constitutional and another deals with non-constitutional. So this chapter also you have to read in comparative manner. We were talking about the art of note making related to Lakshmikant. How you have to tackle this? For important chapters like Parliament, it is a very, very long chapter in Lakshmikant, but after 2 or 3 readings, very long and very relevant. After 2 or 3 readings, you have to summarize this chapter in not more than 3 sheets. How? First, what all are the constituents of Parliament? It is the President of India, the Lok Sabha, and the Rajya Sabha. So we can take 3 sheets. In one, we have to draw the structure related to Lok Sabha, important powers, the passage of bill, how a bill becomes an act, everything in short form. And then same you have to do for Rajya Sabha, and in another page we have to cover the miscellaneous topics like the relations between two. Rajya Sabha is important or Lok Sabha is important. What is the structure in America? What is the structure in UK, and the comparison between the Indian structure. This is the way to tackle this chapter. In this way you have to make the notes. For constitutional, non-constitutional, you have to cover it in 2 sheets. And then comes the central and state government, that you have to cover in comparative manner. So basically at the end of your 4 readings, what you will be having some 20 to 30 pages of notes only. I don't want you to make 200 to 250 pages of notes. That is, you are writing another book. I don't want you all. Just to ease your preparation, make 20 to 30 pages of notes from Lakshmikant. And then the key to crack Lakshmikant is read, revise, and then revise. Multiple readings, multiple revisions of Lakshmikant are required. Then after this, one important book which you have to read is D.D.Basu. This is for at the level of mains, to add on to the knowledge what you got from here. You have to read D.D.Basu. D.D.Basu is a very brilliant writer. It is a good book, but more of analytical and conceptual understanding you will get. Analytical and conceptual understanding you will get from this book. For example, if Lakshmikant is covering the features of Indian Constitution, D.D.Basu will cover that chapter as outstanding features of Indian Constitution. What does it mean? This is factual in nature. This will tell you how the features of Indian Constitution are different from other nations or are relevant for us, or what is the scope for change, for amendment. So to develop the analytical understanding, the conceptual understanding from the mains and the interview perspective, you have to read the D.D.Basu. This is the key to tackle static portion. Secondly, what is relevant for you all, when at the end of your preparation you have cleared prelims, or before prelims also, if you have time, you can go through some of the chapters of India Yearbook. It comes every year, a new publication. So some of the relevant chapters of India Yearbook that deals with polity you have to cover if you have time before prelims, else after prelims also you can cover for mains. Then comes newspaper, that will deal with the current affairs, and also our class notes are very, very important. Whatever you are learning from class, that you have to make the notes of. You will get the learning material to read out. You have to underline the learning material and then read this learning material again and again. That is very, very important. First of all, whatever you are understanding If you will not read that material, then it is completely vague. You have to read the class notes. Then how we will deal with the current affairs part, that I'll tell you. In newspapers, I'll suggest you to follow one newspaper, either the Hindu or the Indian Express. Out of these two, you have to follow any one of the papers. It should not be like you are reading the Hindu one day, Indian Express another day. It is not like that. It should not be like that. Why? Because if some topic you find interesting in Indian Express editorial today, you think you will read it out of Indian Express today, and then you think, yeah, like today's editorial in Hindu is not good. Another day you read the editorial of Hindu, it will only make your preparation complicated, because at the end of the day, when you will be reading the newspapers for 1 year or 2 years before appearing in mains and interview, it will be a period of 1.5 to 2 years. So you will develop an understanding of all the relevant topics which are in news. For example, suppose if the Hindu is not covering any news today, Indian Express is covering, after 2 or 3 days you will get the editorials in the Hindu. So it should not be like you are following like whatever editorials you are finding interesting from one or another paper. Follow one paper. And for polity, what should be your approach? Whatever topic is there in news, you have to take that topic and then you have to actually go in little bit background of that topic. For example, the Lakshadweep issue is going on. The appointment of administrator, there is like the issue going on related to that. So if we are reading about Lakshadweep, we have to, in newspaper you will get like what is the issue, what can be the future perspectives, the consequences of it, why people are protesting there. You can find all this in newspaper. But what is your homework? Before reading it, you should know who is an administrator. What are its powers? Why Lakshadweep is a UT? Why Lakshadweep is a union territory? And now the word union territory comes. You have to understand how many union territories are there. All the union territories have the same structure or not? All these should be questions in your mind, and you have to prepare any current affair topic with this. Because the pattern in UPSC is what? They take any news relevant, like any news topic which is in news or very relevant for students, in news for multiple days, and they'll make some or other question from that topic only. In Lakshadweep, they'll directly not ask you that what is the issue, why people are protesting, what is the way out. They might ask you directly, but the main focus, like more chances are this, that in Polity GS paper 2, they might ask you, who is the administrator? Is Lakshadweep a UT in real sense? They might ask you questions like this. So deep understanding and analysis of the topics and deep understanding of the topics is very, very relevant for you all. So now we know how to crack static as well as the current affairs in polity. This was all for today. From this, we will be moving to our next session where we will be discussing about the previous year questions and the weightage of polity in prelims and mains. Till then, stay tuned, keep studying. Thank you so much.